Yo, yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Fro. And today I'm going to be talking about Happy Gilmore 2, the legacy sequel that comes out nearly 30 years later after the first. And Adam Sandler is returning as our title character. So ain't nothing to it but to do it. Right off the bat, I'm a big fan of the first film. I have it on PSP UMD, Blu ray, regular DVD. It's one of my very favorite comedies, and I would probably have it as my favorite Adam Sandler comedy as well. So when the news broke out for Happy Gilmore 2 being in production, I must admit that I was very hesitant and skeptical because I'm thinking, how do you match the level of hilariousness that occurs in the first film and the level of quotables, especially after all these years? But for my personal viewing, I gotta say, I like this one. I don't think it's perfect thoroughly, but there's a couple of gags and chuckles here and there that really made me crack a rib, and I was surprised by that. There's also a couple moments where I felt the gags were burning out quite a bit. The plot of part two is we're following Happy, who's down on his luck and is turned into alcoholism because he loses somebody very close to him in the family, without any spoilers. And I must admit that this character choice did leave me for a shocker in the very first 2 or 3 minutes. And I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy the rest of the film because of this, but I was able to put it on the back burner a bit and found myself enjoying the movie quite a bit. Happy has to raise about $300,000 to pay off for his daughter's ballet school, but since that someone close to him died, he's been going through his downward spiral and breaking the law, and he gets fired from his job, so he's in a tight situation. Alongside his daughter, Happy also has 5 sons who a majority of them are meatheads and getting into fist fights just like their dad, but they do show and display their love for their father, Happy, which I thought was a really nice touch. Happy's also going to AA meetings, which is led by Ben Stiller's Hal, who returns from the first film, who's also just as much of a jerk in the sequel. Christopher McDonald pops up here, and I gotta say, he's my favorite part in this sequel because I felt like he stepped directly from the first film into this one. I felt like he didn't lose a step at all. Now, he's been locked away in an asylum for about 20 plus years since the first film. He's finally released by the true villain of the film, a guy named Frank, played by Benny Safdie, the director of Uncut Gems. And here, Frank is the CEO of Maxi Energy Drink and a golf league called Maxi Golf. Frank releases Shooter from the asylum and wants him to go after Happy, but when he shows Shooter the new plans of his league and what he has in store, spoilers here, but Shooter's ultimately horrified by Frank's plans, and he decides to go to Happy not only to warn him, but to join his side to combat Frank and to help keep traditional golf in place. And I really like this choice. It was really cool to see Shooter and Happy have this big rivalry where they hate each other's guts turn into a friendship because of a bigger threat. My favorite scene in the entire film has to go to the fight scene in the graveyard between Happy and Shooter, pictured here. Now, Shooter is obviously still pissed off after 2+ decades, mainly because of the gold jacket. He's still salty about that. But after duking it out, and we get glimpses of a lot of characters that have passed through the years, like Chubbs and the jackass guy and the big character that dies in this film, alongside Richard Keel's character, and I might be forgetting one, but it was really cool to see those flashes or just those shots while the fist fight is happening. They eventually settled their differences when Shooter ultimately tells Happy Frank's plans of what he's going to do with the new league. So they band together, which I again think is a really cool choice. John Daly pops up playing a crazy cuckoo uncle mentor to Happy, and he's also been living in Happy's garage, but he gives him some words of advice and wisdom and encourages him to go back to playing golf. Happy ultimately decides to do so when Frank's new Maxi League is ultimately threatening the old traditional way of playing golf. Doug Thompson, played by Dennis Dugan, who's also the director of the first film, pops back up here playing the president of the tour, and he's also worried about Frank. Bad Bunny pops up playing a guy named Oscar, who's a waiter at first, but later becomes Happy's caddy after Happy sticks up for him when he's getting berated by Travis Kelce, or however you say his name, Taylor Swift's guy. He makes a cameo here as well. I will say that I'm not the biggest fan of Bad Bunny, but he did give me a couple chuckles here and there, playing the caddy in a very goofy way, and not a bad performance. At first, it's looking like Happy's doing very well and he's shooting up the charts and getting close to that number one spot. But they're playing on a specific holiday that reminds him of that close person that died. So it affects him very heavily, and he starts getting drunk yet again after doing pretty well of leaving the booze alone. Goes back to his old ways and completely falls apart, knocking him down damn near to the bottom. And also because Haley Joel Osment pops up playing another villain in this film, a guy named Billy, who's the true star of the new generation golf league that Frank is also in cahoots with. And Billy Jenkins has this very weird surgery that's done with his hips, that's also done with a lot of the players on this league. I thought this choice was very weird and strange. But this surgery is able to make the player hit the ball just as far as Happy used to, or even further. Now, some of the things that didn't work for me personally, right off the bat, I would say the mooning. I felt that there was too much butt cheeks being shown. Once or twice was a bit funny, but by the third or fourth or fifth time, I felt like it was getting old. One of my bigger nitpicks are the number of cameos, which I think are about 74 from my recollection. And I felt some of these cameos could have been scaled down quite a bit in hopes of seeing more screen time from some more characters I found interesting, like Chubbs' son, Slim, played by Lavelle Crawford, one of my favorite comedians. And I thought he was a wonderful addition for the brief screen time that he has. And it's really cool to see Richard Kiel, who passed away a couple years ago, have a son in this film as well. So I did like that tradition going on of the torch being passed down in this sequel. That was really cool to see for me. But the cameo that I found downright bizarre, even though I did chuckle a bit, spoilers here, was Eminem's cameo, who pops up playing the son of Joe Flaherty's character from the first film, Jackass. I felt that this cameo had a bit of a strong start and it kind of crashed in its payoff, where I felt that it was a bit mean-spirited to see Eminem's character get eaten by alligators, where I understand there is a body count in the first film and Chubbs does lose his hand by an alligator, so I understand the connection, but it still felt like a bit of a tone shift for me while I was watching. I thought it was a little bit hardcore, but obviously it's not gory or anything, but he does get eaten. I think he's the only like fatality outside of other characters that have passed away already. So pretty crazy. A kind of a nitpick that I do have is that the new generation league ran by Frank is obviously cheating in the final game when Frank and Billy have a rotating stage and Billy's having Frank stand on one side so we can make the shot. But Frank also turns up the speed of the rotating stage to such a speed that it was damn near giving me motion sickness. And I thought, okay, this is extremely unfair. This league is not professional at all. So I thought there was a high disadvantage in Happy's favor. But of course, Happy makes the shot, very close to it, but Bad Bunny's character topples over, passes out from how fast the stage is going, and then knocks the ball into the hole, and Happy wins. Happy celebrating about 3 months of sobriety after, and it looks like everything's going well. But Ben Stiller's Hal is revealed to be a con artist when agents start busting through the window. Hal snatches Happy's sobriety coin. He's running in the street in slow-mo, just like the ending of the first film where Shooter's running away. And we can hear Hal getting beaten up in the background. Another thing that I always thought was cool of Adam Sandler was how he always involves his family in his films. But it's more so here because his daughter, his real-life daughter plays his daughter in the film, the one who wants to go to ballet school. And his other daughter plays a lady at the AA meeting who's ultimately revealed to be an undercover cop taking down Hal. And his wife also plays the dance teacher. And we do have a couple Sandler regulars as well. We do revisit the Happy Place in this sequel. And I did get a little bit of a chuckle seeing Rob Schneider replace the dwarf cowboy from the first. that was pretty goofy. Kevin Nealon pops up again playing Gary, the loser guy from the first film, and now he's a sports commentator. Steve Buscemi plays the crazy neighbor, which I felt like he deserved more screen time and more lines to work with. I felt he was a bit wasted. John Lovitz pops up for about 30 seconds. Nick Swartzen plays the first guy to ever get the surgery hip thing, and I wish that he had a bit more screen time. And Blake Clark, one of my favorite funny guys, Farmer Fran from Waterboy, pops up here playing a beach bum for about 30 seconds. I do wish we got to see more screen time from a certain cast member, but I feel like I'd be going in heavy spoiler territory, and I was shocked by this decision. So I want you guys to feel that same way when you're watching it and to see what you guys think after. But from my personal viewing, the love was felt with how Adam Sandler is paying a lot of homage and respect to a lot of the actors that have passed away since the first film has came out. So that was appreciated. I do also love the use of the original soundtrack from the first film, like Tuesday's Gone by Leonard Skinner and Magic by Pilot, two songs that I highly enjoy. And it gave me a really nice wave of nostalgia, which I can understand people do not like nostalgia bait, or they just don't want to be reminded of something that they've already seen, which I can understand. But in certain aspects, I felt like it's very welcoming to me. Like, it's a good feeling to hear certain music notes or numbers, or also characters that I remember growing up watching. It gave me a nice warm feeling in certain areas of this film. But enough with my blabbering. I'm going to give Happy Gilmore 2 a light 7 out of 10. And that's it, y'all. It's your boy Fro. What did you think about Happy Gilmore 2? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Were you disappointed? Comment below. Let me know your thoughts. In the meantime, between time, I'm on to the next review. Check out my description box for my Patreon link. Like and subscribe to help out the channel and your boy. And thank you guys for watching. Appreciate y'all. Peace.